What is asbestos and how can we be sure that we are keeping our family and our home safe? Mark Haynes is an environmental specialist from Abide Inc. and he joins us to share more. Great to have you here, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
I've heard of asbestos. I'll be honest, I don't know much about it and I don't really know where it's found or how it can be a danger to us. First, what exactly is it?
So asbestos is actually a mineral that is mined out of the ground. It's been occurring for thousands of years, and it became popular because of certain properties that it holds. One, it's flexible, has a lot of tensile strength to it, has resilient to heat, chemical, electricity, moisture, good insulating and acoustical properties.
So it was seen as something that was really positive and could be useful, but this was way back when.
Yeah,
they realized that it could be dangerous.
Yeah, so they started first determining the dangers of it probably the late 70s, early 80s. So asbestos mined out of the ground, pulverized, reduced to powder, and able to be woven into certain types of materials, especially building materials.
Okay. And so what exactly are the dangers that we should look for or should know about?
Yeah, so where it becomes dangerous is if it becomes airborne.
Okay.
Right? So if you're actually have planned renovations or you have damaged materials or things of that sort, these asbestos fibers can become airborne and inhaled.
Okay.
Right?
Is asbestos something that it could be in our home right now and we don't even know about it? That if we started to, let's say, a popcorn ceiling started to file away at that it could then be really dangerous to our family.
Yeah, it could be released. So a lot of the asbestos-related diseases that occur became apparent over years of exposure, high concentrations, unprotected situations. So people have lived around asbestos their entire lives. A lot of people went to schools that had asbestos in them. Used to be in brake pads for automobiles and so forth. So it's more of an exposure base. So just having it in your home doesn't mean that you're going to get asbestos-related disease.
Right, yes.
However, there's no safe level of asbestos.
So you don't want to scare anyone at home thinking, oh, goodness, it could be in my home. But just so people are aware, where are some places that it could be found in your home that you should be careful if you do plan to do renovations and you know that your home was built before the 70s?
Yeah, so thermal system insulations, pipe insulation, duct covering, boiler jackets, things of that sort, vermiculite in your attic will have asbestos in it. Then you also have surfacing materials for residential homes. You're talking about plaster, joint compound, things of that sort. And then other materials like resilient flooring, caulkings, adhesives, roof shingles, transite siding. So it was used in 3,600 different types of building products. So it's very common.
So if we are going to be doing renovations or we know that there's a potential that it's in our home, is there a way that we can get it tested first? Or should we just take no risk and make sure that we're protected?
Sure. So if you have a home or a building that's pre-1980, it's not exact cutoff date, but that's kind of something to go on, then some of those materials that I mentioned, it should be assumed. However, to know for sure, a sample has to be collected and analyzed at a laboratory for asbestos content. That should be done by a licensed inspector who can not only take the sample, but also determine the condition of the material and if in its current form it is a hazard to building occupants.
So really, for people sitting at home watching this, there's no real concern if your house was built before then, unless you plan to do renovations or if there's some exposure to having it breathed in.
Yeah, so asbestos can be managed in place like it has for several years in a lot of different buildings. If it's damaged, if there's a lot of vibration or wind erosion around the area, well then obviously asbestos fibers could be in the air, right? Around basements and things like that where you have friable pipe insulation and jackets, right? But a resilient flooring that's in good condition isn't releasing asbestos fibers into the air.
Okay, all right. So in general.
Yeah, so the biggest hazard comes upon renovations, right? When it's actually disturbed.
Okay.
So if it's done unprotected or not by the right people, then that would be the concern.
Great info, good to know, and important for us to know, especially if our home was built before 1970. Thank you so much, Mark, for being here.
Oh, thanks for
having me. I certainly learned a lot about it, and if people can get this information once again on our website later today, mymassappeal.com.
Hi.